Good morning, all of you. Welcome to online classes of Sri Mahavir International School. This is Ritu Agarwal, your accountancy teacher. And first of all, I want to thank you to all of the students who are choosing commerce as their career stream. And accountancy is one of the important subject in your commerce stream. So as the screen is showing you, DK Goyal Accountancy Edition 2020-21 we are going to follow for class 11th. Apart from accountancy, there will be some main subject also like business studies, economics. These are 3 compulsory subject. And your language subject is English, as you know. And apart from English, Hindi, physical education, this will be an optional. So for accountancy, you have to study more about calculation, practice. This is the best part of accountancy and this is a scoring subject. So from today, try to give your best for this class. This is the course structure. Actually, your paper will be of 100 marks. Out of 100, 20 marks is for project work and 80 marks is for theoretical work, that is your written paper. In this, we will discuss later about chapters, weightage, and everything I will tell you later. Just this is a little summary of your course structure. You can take a screenshot or whatever you want to study it. So first of all, I'm explaining you what is the meaning of accounting. As you know that accounting, it may be a starting for you like ABCD of commerce, because still you didn't study about commerce. Till 10th class you studied about science or arts, means you have a little knowledge about it, but commerce is a fully new subject for you for class 11th. So in commerce, first of all, just know the meaning of accounting. In simple words, you can say that accounting is an art of keeping all the data in a systematic way. I'm showing you one example here. Suppose that there is a birthday party at your home and your father gave you 2000 rupees, as you are able to see on the screen. Your father gave you 2000 rupees for the birthday party, that you have to do arrangement in this 2000 rupees. So for birthday party, there are a lot of expenses. You will go to market. For this you have to pay auto fare, that is of 50 rupees. Suppose that in your birthday party you are going to watch movie in hall, so you have to pay movie tickets that are of 500 rupees. If you are going to a restaurant for dinner, so restaurant bill is there for 1000 rupees. After doing all the works, you are returning at your home, so that is 80 rupees. Again you are paying auto fare. So first of all, you have to calculate that out of 2000, how much is your expense? As here are 4 transactions: auto fare, movie tickets, restaurant bill, or auto fare again. So out of this, first of all, you have to calculate that what are your total expenses. So your total expenses here 1630 rupees. Out of 2000, now you have surplus of rupees 370 rupees. Means what you want to say here, if here will be a non-commerce student who doesn't have knowledge about accounting, so he will show only in a simple way, like Just he will write all the expenses like 1630, or he will deduct 1630 from 2000. So the normal or the surplus amount is 370 rupees. But a former student who knows about accounting, who knows about all the systems, he will make the transactions in this format. Like in the left hand side, he will show receipts. In the right hand side, he will show the payments. And then what is the surplus amount? It will be shown like this. So in a simple way, you can say that accounting is simply an art of record keeping and funding the results thereof. Whatever is your business, not only business, in our normal, regular way, in our normal daily routine also, we have to keep records of all the things. If you are a student, you have a pocket money of 50 rupees, so that 50 rupees should be also kept in a record, that how you are spending your 50 rupees. That is necessary for future reference. By keeping records, you can know that what is your schedule, what schedule you are going to follow, or what is your profit, what is your loss. This kind of things we can follow if we have proper record of every transaction of every business. Let's move on. Yes, as I already told you that your 100 marks will be divided in two parts, 80 marks for written examination and 20 marks for project work. So as I'm going a little ahead, introduction to accounting. Accounting, what is the meaning of accounting? I have already explained you that it is an art of keeping all the records in a systematic way. One example is here, like one person is there, Suresh. He wants to start a business, but he doesn't have any knowledge of starting business because he is a non-commerce student. I'm getting my point? That he is a non-commerce student, so he doesn't know that how to start a business, or for starting a business, what should I do first? So he will take advice from a commerce student or from any person who knows the rules and regulations of the business. So the first advice he will get, that first of all, you should identify your transactions, that whether your transaction is financial or non-financial. Like here you can see two transactions are house rent and goods purchase. Suresh is paying rent for his house. This is the first transaction. And secondly, he is purchasing goods for his business. There are two transactions, but out of these two, you have to identify that which is business transaction. Paying rent for house is not a business transaction. Purchasing goods is the business transaction. So this is the first step while entering in a business, that you have to identify the financial transactions on events. Out of all the transactions, just identify that which is your business transaction or which is your non-business or non-financial transaction. So this will be your first step in process of accounting. Second step, measuring the identified transactions in the terms of money. How you can measure it? Like we have identified this, that we purchased goods for business. But now you have to know, you have to calculate the amount of goods. The quantity also may be that how much goods you purchased. That is the measuring the transactions in terms of money. The most important thing is here that your transaction must be measured in terms of money. Suppose that in your business, if any employee is going on strike, Try to know my point very carefully, everyone. Let's suppose that if you in your business any employee is going on strike, so that is not a business transaction. It is right point that if any employee is going on strike, so that will affect on the business, but that cannot be measured in terms of money. Most important thing, or one more thing I want to tell you in this, you have given that you have purchased 10 chairs in your business, but you don't know that what is the price of the chairs, or what is the price of all the chairs that you purchased for business. So can you measure this transaction? Answer will be no, because you don't know that what is the price of chairs. You cannot measure the chairs in terms of money. So thing is here that measuring the identifying transaction in terms of money. It is the important thing that the transaction must be in monetary terms. This will be your second process. Now the third process will be recording. Now you have identified that you purchased goods of rupees 2 lakh. Just this is example that you purchased goods for rupees 2 lakh. So now you have to record this 2 lakh rupees in your books. Because if you not record, so after 1 month, after 2 months, you don't have any record of any profit, any loss. So in a business, it is necessary to record all the transaction, whether that is a small transaction or a big transactions. So see here, as it is showing a process, like first identify, that is I, second measuring in terms of money, and third you have to record this in terms of money, you have to record this in a book. This book is called journal. In this book, you are recording your all the transaction date wise, that is in chronological order. Chronological order means date wise you have to record your all the transaction. Like in one day, you are purchasing from 10 suppliers. So you will record this in journal. If you are selling to 10 customers, so that you will record in this journal. So journal is a book in which we record all the transaction in chronological order, means date wise. After recording, your next step will be classifying. Classifying means separating the data that are in the same category. Suppose that in one day, you have purchased goods 10 times, or on the other hand, you have sold goods 5 times. So what we record in journal? In journal, we record all the purchase, all the sales at one place. But this way is better only if your business is of small size. But whenever your business criteria is growing bigger, so you have to categorize all the transactions. Like you are able to see here in this journal, here are all the sales and purchased mixed in this journal. But after this, we will classify purchase in separate column and sales in separate column. Means we will make separate boxes for every type of transactions. Like in one box, we will put only sales amount. In another box, we will put only purchase amount. In the third, maybe we will put expenses. So this classifying will be done in ledger. Means this classifying process will be called ledger. See the next step after classifying. Here are some letters for you just for understanding short. First is I. I means identifying, M means measuring, R means recording, C means classifying, and S means summarizing. Now what is the meaning of summarizing? As we have studied till recording or classifying, so what is the meaning of summarizing? Summarizing means you have to tell the data in a summary form. Suppose that after 1 year, you have to calculate that what is the total sales of your business. So will you total every separate item? No, that is not possible. So we have to make a summary that in this year, how much is our total sales. So from sales box, you will total your sales of 1 year, and in the same way, you will total your purchase in the another column. So this will be a summary of transactions. Like sales or purchase, you can get total of your expenses, of your incomes. So this will be a summary. And this summarizing process will be done in 3 statements. These 3 statements are here: trial balance, profit and loss account, or balance sheet. Now your question may be here that, ma'am, what are these 3 statements? Because this is a new point for you. So we will discuss later. Actually, in every point has one chapter. Like trial balance has a separate chapter, profit and loss account will have a separate chapter, or balance sheet will also have a separate chapter. So we will discuss later. Just now get only one point, that summarizing process will be done in 3 statements, that are trial balance, profit and loss account, and balance sheet. This will be our 5th step. After summarizing, your last 2 steps are here: analysis and interpretation. Now what will you analyze? As we have got from summarizing that in this year our total sales is 60,000, total purchase is 80,000, like this more items. So after this you will analyze the transactions, that after doing all the expenses, what is your profit amount or what is your loss amount. Suppose that in 1 year, your income means your receipts are of rupees 10 lakh. Means you are receiving from customers 10 lakh rupees. And you are paying to your suppliers 8 lakh rupees. This is a summary. This is a summary of full year, that you are receiving from your customers 10 lakh rupees and you are paying to your suppliers 8 lakh rupees. So it is showing that you have got 2 lakh rupees profit during this year. So analysis and interpretation is the process, is a way to analyze the profit and loss. If you are getting profit, so what can be the reason? If you are getting loss, so what can be the reason? This is the process of analysis and interpretation. And the last step will be communicating to users. Users means who are responsible for the business transactions. After getting profit or loss, you have to show your result to users. Users may be internal users or external users. Internal or external, what are these terms? Internal, that are directly connected to the business in an internal way. But external users, they are not taking any part in the management of business, but indirectly they are connected to business. Like external users, you can take examples, banks. banking sectors are giving loans to the business. So obviously they have to they have to analyze the business status, that what is the profit or loss of this business. So after getting profit or loss, a business has to communicate to its users. Business has to show its result to its users. So this will be a process of accounting. Again, we are going to repeat this. I, that is identifying, M, that is measuring, R, recording, and recording is done in journal, C, classifying, that is done in ledger, summarizing, that is done in 3 statements: trial balance, profit and loss account, and balance sheet. A, that is analysis and interpretation, that will show result, and at last communicating to users. This is a process of accounting in every type of business. So this process of accounting can also be said characteristics of accounting or attributes of accounting. And ever remind one thing, that process can be written only in a sequence. First, identifying; second, measuring; third, recording; fourth, classifying; fifth, summarizing; sixth, analysis; and seventh, communicating to users. So this will be your process of accounting. On the basis of this, again, try to know the definition of accounting, that it is an art of recording, classifying, and summarizing the data and results thereof. Means in accounting, you have to keep all the records in a systematic way, and at last we have to identify the profit and loss of the business. This will be your accounting process. Now let's discuss some terms of accounting, some basic terms that we are going to follow or that we will know in our chapter. Yes, first of all, see here. First question is here, define accounting. As we have already studied that what is the meaning of accounting. Accounting can be defined as a process of reporting, recording, interpreting, summarizing economic data. The introduction of accounting helps the decision makers of a company to make effective choices by providing information on the financial status of the business. Today, accounting is used by everyone, and a good understanding of it is beneficial to all. Accountancy acts as a language of finance. This is a kind of definition of accounting. In simple way, you can write that it is a process, it is an art of keeping all the data in a systematic way, and it is an art of recording, classifying, and summarizing the data and results thereof. Now the second point is here, distinguish between debtors and creditors. These are the important terms that you have to understand in accountancy. Debtors and creditors. Debtors. Still, you know about customers. I think you everybody know about the customers. Customers are the persons to whom we are selling our goods. So in the same way, debtors are also the persons who owe an amount to the enterprise for the goods sold or services provided to them on credit. If you are selling your goods on credit, so that person will be your debtor. Suppose that Suresh and Ramesh, just I am showing you something. Suppose that there are two persons, Suresh and Ramesh. Suresh is the owner of business. Suresh is owner of business and he is selling goods to Ramesh. He is selling goods to Ramesh on credit. There are two persons, Suresh and Ramesh. Suresh is owner of the business and he is selling goods to Ramesh on credit. So Ramesh will be debtor. Suresh will be creditor for Ramesh and Ramesh will be debtor for Suresh. See, one more person we are taking here. Suresh is owner, but he also has to take goods from any supplier. The third person may be here, Reena. Suresh is taking goods from Reena. Suresh is taking goods from Reena. Credit. So you can say that for Suresh, Reena is creditor and Ramesh is debtor. The point is here that if you are purchasing goods on credit, so that person will be creditor, or if you are selling goods on credit, so that person will be debtor. So debtors and creditors, again see the definitions. Debtors are the person who an amount to the enterprise for the goods sold or services provided to them on credit, whereas creditors are the person who is to be paid in amount by the enterprise for buying from them goods and services on credit. In simple words, understand this point that creditors from whom we are purchasing goods on credit or debtors to whom we are selling goods on credit. Let's move on the third question, cash discount. I think you everybody know about discount. This is a common word that whenever we are going to purchase any item from a shop, so we get discount. But here is a wide term, cash discount. Actually, you will get discount. There are of two types. That will be cash discount or trade discount. Discounts can be classified in two ways, cash discount or trade discount. Cash discount is given to increase cash payments, or trade discount is given to increase your sales. How? Just I'm showing you an example here. Again, the point is here, Suresh. He is the owner of the business. Okay. And he is applying trade discount. He is applying that discount is 10% on every type of item. He is applying that discount is 10% for every type of item. So this 10% will be a kind of trade discount. Why he is giving discount? He is giving discount for increasing sales, for promoting sales, because he is thinking that if I am giving discount to customers, so I will increase my sales. But in the same way, after giving 10%, he is applying one more rule in the business, that 5% more discount, 5% more discount to those customers who will pay cash. He is giving 10% discount to every customer, whether he is paying cash or whether he is taking goods in credit. But after giving 10%, he is applying one more discount, that is 5%, to those customers who will pay immediately cash. So that is a kind of cash discount. Trade discount is given to every customer and it is given for increasing the sales in a business. But cash discount is given to only those customers who will pay cash immediately, and it is given for increasing cash payments. So now move on the answer. When a discount is allowed to the customer for making prompt payment, it is called cash discount, and it is always recorded in the books of accounts. Means for increasing your cash payment, cash discount is given. Now again, you are getting the same question, distinguish between debtors and creditors. So leave this question as we have already discussed. Next question, number 5th is here. How is profit or loss of a specified term determined? Profit or loss of a specified term determined by formulating loss account and trading in profit. Means profit and loss we will calculate by formatting an account. That account will be called trading account and profit and loss account, that we will discuss later. But before it, you have to know the meaning of profit and loss. Profit and loss are simple terms, but we have to understand what is the meaning of profit. Actually, the profit is that when your income exceeds your expenses. Let's give an example. Suppose that you have stationery shop. In your stationery shop, you are purchasing pens for ₹20 per packet. Means in a packet there are 5 pens and you are purchasing the pen packet in ₹20. Means simply you can say that 4 rupees per pen, this is your cost. And you are selling this pen in ₹5. You are selling 5 rupees per pen. So the difference between your cost and sell will be termed as profit. You are purchasing the pen in ₹4 and you are selling this pen in ₹5. So this 1 rupees will be termed as your profit. I think you everybody are able to understand that what is the meaning of profit, that when your sales price is more than your cost price, so that will be called profit. On the opposite of profit, there is loss, that if you are purchasing your pen in ₹5 and you are selling goods in ₹4, so that 1 rupees will be termed as your loss. Okay, now one more term that is similar to profit, that is gain. What will be the difference between profit and gain? Profit will be related to regular activities of a business, but gain will be related to irregular activities of a business. As I am telling you that suppose that you have a stationery shop. In a stationery shop, your business is to selling all the stationery items. But in the stationery shop, suppose you are selling your furniture or any kind of thing that is not your business. On that furniture, if you are getting any profit, so that will be called gain. Means gain is related to irregular activities and profit is related to regular activities. This is the main difference between profit and gain. Simply, both are same, meaning is same, but there is a little difference between both the terms. Okay, so rest of the points we will discuss in next class. Till you have to study these points as we discussed in today's class. Thank you so much.